I'm here today and I'm very honored to be part of this group. I myself am a survivor of 7 years with cancer. I still live with it. I have non-Hodgkins lymphoma. Now all of you also have a story, just like I do, that I'm going to tell you about. All of us have a story about cancer. And unfortunately it's either ourselves, a family member, or a dear friend. And what we try to do is to be understanding. And my story was one such that about 18 years ago I started doing yoga. I found it. I needed it. Just like you guys walk, run, do any kind of workout program. It feels good. And I found yoga because, of course, like you, I was stressed. I needed something. But I connected with it. It was something that made me feel good. It gave me something that no other workout could do, not running or anything else. So I pursued it, and about 6, 7 years into it, I became an instructor. When I became an instructor, all these wonderful people like you were gathered to me. They just were drawn to me because they needed what I had, not knowing that I also needed what they had. After about 11 years of teaching, I went for a routine mammogram. Just went on a Friday afternoon, walked in, and they asked me to stay, and I was confused. And they brought me back to the room, and they said, not sitting down or anything, just standing and everything. They said, look at your x-rays. This is last year's, this is this year's. And I saw these strange little globs, and I said, what is that? Without hesitation, the radiologist says, that's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I was like, I never even heard of it. I'd heard of Hodgkin's, but never non-Hodgkin's. And so I said, what is that? And she said, it's cancer. You know? And of course I didn't have anyone with me. I was there by myself on a Friday afternoon. It was about 4 or 5 o'clock. Somehow I made my way home. I knew I had to call my husband. I couldn't quite verbalize on the phone what was wrong with me, but no one could believe it. I couldn't believe it. I didn't have cancer. I am a vegetarian. I'm also a yoga instructor. Who gets cancer doing that, you know? And I work out every day. It just doesn't discriminate, does it? So there I was. About a week later, I went in for my biopsy. I went in to meet with my cancer doctors, my oncologist and everything, and they said indeed. And they staged me at stage 4. And again, I'm like, nah, look at me. I'm healthy. I'm strong. I don't have cancer. And they're like, sorry. I said, well, I'm not getting treatments. I don't want to be sick. I'm not sick now. I'm not going to be sick. You can't give me chemo drugs. So they said, well, we'll wait a little bit and we'll watch. So what I did was I went to a naturopath. I decided to do Eastern medicine, and they helped me a lot. For 2 years, I did everything. Acupuncture, acupressure, my yoga, of course. My yoga was always with me. And I continued that way for almost 2 years. And then about 2 years into it, my belly became distended. I started feeling sick, and I knew I was sick. So when I went to the oncologist, he said, this is the time. We need to do some chemo. So of course they gave me the toughest stuff. I was in the hospital. They were afraid my kidneys were going to shut down. It was just the whole big thing. I was still in denial. I'm in the hospital sick, chemo. I was in denial because I just didn't think that I should have cancer. So I constantly called on yoga, even when I couldn't physically do it. I did it mentally. And I believe that's why I'm here. I really do. Because my mind became so strong with an activity other than my disease. I didn't think about the disease constantly. Yes, I might have been lying there ill, but I thought of something else. And I think that's what brought me through. So I continued with the chemo drugs off and on for about 5 years. They gave me everything. I went through different degrees of remission, trying every chemotherapy they could do. And finally, about 1.5 years ago, with nothing being able to help this time, they said, we're going to go ahead and do stem cell transplant. And so I did. 1.5 years, got stem cell transplant, and here I am. It's amazing what stem cell can do, and I'm sure that American Cancer had a lot to do with that, in helping to fund that, or helping with the research. So 1.5 years ago, as my husband wheeled me in a wheelchair, skinny as all heck, you know, sick, sick, sick. Every time I laid in bed, or every time I was anywhere, yoga was never far from me. It was always in my head. As an instructor, that's who I defined myself as. A yoga instructor, not a cancer patient. I don't know why. Today I look back and I say, oh my gosh, I was a cancer patient. I did this. I went through all these horrible things for 7 years. But I think the actual yoga is what kept me strong. The community that was drawn to me, they had intentions for my wellness. They constantly said, you'll be better, you'll be well, and I believe them. So with all of that, I'm here today as a testimonial to all of that and to yoga. We're going to do a little yoga a little bit later, and I hope you join me, and I'd like to give you a little taste of that. But for right now, standing here, I want to thank all of you for having me. I want to thank my family, because I really thank them all the time, but they don't understand. My husband was the most amazing person ever. So I want to thank you all, and I always end my yoga classes. I say something that means from my heart to yours, which I truly feel, and that is namaste. Namaste. Thank you all so much.